Good show ahead here on Ravens Rundown. Tyler Jones here with you. We'll have the latest on Marlon Humphrey as he is returning from injury. Where do things stack up? We will report here in just a bit. Also, Brandon Stephens, could an extension be on the way for the Ravens corner? We'll break down the latest update from The Athletic. Also, could a contract adjustment be on the horizon for tight end Mark Andrews? We'll examine that possibility and more coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, Ravens Rundown is closing in on 17,000 subscribers here on the channel, less than 150 away from reaching that next milestone. For the latest happenings in your Baltimore Ravens all off-season long, daily news and rumors, Q&A mailbags, breaking news and more, subscribe now for free, youtube.com/RavensTV, and we'll get started with today's show. Let's start with the injury news. Cue the Fox injury music. As Ravens corner Marlon Humphrey, he was in and out throughout much of this offseason, and he went on the podcast, the Punchline podcast, to update the fans, the flock, on his injury status after minicamp. If you recall, at the very end of minicamp, we saw Marlon Humphrey make his return at full strength. Prior to that, he was limited, but here is what he had to say about his situation going forward. I had day one of minicamp, and then I took 2 vet rest days. I'm kind of on the NBA routine sometimes. Took 2 days rest, but man, I'm excited. The expectation from what we've heard from Humphrey and John Harbaugh and others is that Humphrey should be good to go in time for training camp at full speed, not having to do the NBA routine with rest and all that, that he should be a full go when training camp rolls around. And when you take it a step further, when you look at what Marlon Humphrey's expectations are for 2024, I think for Marlon Humphrey, it's not just about how well he plays, but he's expected to play a large part in helping with the development of rookie corner Nate Wiggins, who is ultimately the future at that position for the Baltimore Ravens. Humphrey, a first-team All-Pro, plenty of experience, the right mentor, if you will, for the 3-time Pro Bowler who was a Pro Bowler as recently as 2022. And you go back to 2020, was the NFL's forced fumbles leader, and he's still not really that old either. A 2017 first-round pick there out of Alabama just a few years ago. I have high hopes for Marlon Humphrey in 2024, that we're going to see him play at a high level. And you think about, too, with the pieces that are in this corner room now, with Humphrey back, with Brandon Stephens, who we'll talk about in a bit, as well as Wiggins and TJ Tampa and Arthur Mollett, there's plenty of options for the Baltimore Ravens to work with. And Marlon Humphrey, it remains to be seen, is he going to be an outside corner? Is he going to play some nickel? Whatever it may be, I think Marlon Humphrey is going to be more than capable of still playing at a high level and bringing a lot to this Baltimore Ravens team. You can see last year, in the 10 games he played, had a total of 26 tackles, an interception, 5 pass breakups. The Pro Bowl campaign that he last had in 2022 included 3 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, and 3 tackles for loss, along with 71 tackles. After this year, I think Humphrey's future is uncertain at this point with the money that he could potentially command on the open market elsewhere and with the young pieces the Ravens have at the corner spot. But at least for now, Marlon Humphrey is not going anywhere for this season and is still going to be, I think, an impact player on this Ravens defense. Prediction time. Is this the last dance for Marlon Humphrey with the Baltimore Ravens? Let us know what you think on our pinned comment today. Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in. Let us know what you think. Let's go, Brandon. Brandon Stephens coming off a career season in 2023, and expectations are high for him entering 2024, and he is looking for some money, some more money. That second contract quickly approaching, and The Athletic named Stephens as a potential extension candidate for the Baltimore Ravens to take care of before the season begins. Here's more. If the Ravens believe last season was the start of Stephens' ascent and he's primed to get better, this is a pretty easy decision for a team that hasn't hesitated in the recent past to spend on cornerbacks. Having Stephens sign long-term and Wiggins and Tampa in the fold would give Baltimore some flexibility next offseason if Marlon Humphrey doesn't bounce back in 2024 or his injury issues persist. And you look at the cap situation, the Ravens don't have a ton of cap space. That's no secret. If you extend Stevens now, you're looking at creating about $1.65 million in potential cap space if you were to go this route. And when I look at this, folks, I think there's a decent chance that Stevens is going to have a big year again, that he's going to build upon what he did in 2023. And if you're the Baltimore Ravens, you're thinking about this from the business perspective here. If you go ahead and extend him now, then you're looking at potentially saving a lot of money next offseason because back-to-back good years is going to skyrocket that potential price tag for Brandon Stevens, comparatively speaking, if you take care of this right now. And you look at what Brandon Stevens did last year. Career highs in solo tackles, pass breakups, and interceptions in 2023. Plenty of experience so far in the NFL with 48 career games played with 31 starts. We know he's versatile, that he can play multiple positions on the football field. There is a place for Brandon Stevens for many years to come with this Baltimore Ravens roster in some way, shape, or form. I don't think he's going anywhere. And here's another thing to think about. When it comes to Brandon Stevens, all right, you look at what he did last year. These statistics, right? We mentioned the 2 interceptions, 74 tackles, 11 pass breakups and all that, and his coverage stats were really good. Let's just say that, for example, all right, that Stevens replicates what he did in 2023 in 2024. If he puts up similar numbers or even better numbers than what he did, if the yardage numbers come down and coverage stats, pass breakups numbers continue to go up, QB rating goes down, completion percentage and all that. Let's just say all that happens, right? And that price tag goes up. If I'm advising Brandon Stevens, I would say, and granted, I'll preface this by saying it's easier for me to say because I'm not in Stevens' position here. I would wait. Bet on yourself and see how this year plays out to see if you can get even more money next offseason. That's what I would do if I was Brandon Stevens. But if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I'm looking to get something done as quickly as possible so you can save every potential penny you can to take care of Brandon Stevens. The Athletic framed this situation of what's going on in the Stevens camp and said the following. Stevens and his agent, David Mulgeta, have every reason to be patient, too. In 9 months, Stevens may hit a market that is very kind to quality cornerbacks. If he matches or exceeds his performance from last year, he'll be in an inviolable position soon enough. So let's ask you, your chance to be Eric DeCosta. If you're the Baltimore Ravens, do you extend Stevens right now or do you wait? Type E for extend, D for don't. Weigh in the comment section and let us know what you think. One corner we're excited about here in Baltimore is Nate Wiggins. His jerseys are on sale now at chatsports.com/Wiggins. Trade out that number 1 for a number 2. That's what he'll be wearing this season. And free shipping is available on these jerseys as well at chatsports.com/Wiggins is where you can get yours today. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Got men's and women's options, the home and the way, the alternates, all of that. Go see for yourself, chatsports.com/Wiggins to get yours today. What will the Baltimore Ravens do with Mark Andrews? That is the question on the minds of Baltimore Ravens fans as the Ravens try to figure out his future. The hope and the belief is that Mark Andrews isn't going anywhere, but exactly how do the Ravens approach this situation? The Athletic broke down the situation regarding to Andrews and a potential contract adjustment. Listen to this. It'll be interesting to see whether the team addresses his deal in the coming year. The 4-year, $56 million extension Andrews signed with the Ravens in September 2021 has 2 seasons remaining. Andrews has a base salary of $7 million and a salary cap hit of $16.9 million in each of the final 2 years of his deal. If Andrews has a Pro Bowl caliber year in 2024, you'd have to think there would be a discussion about an extension next offseason. Now, while there are some out there that think that the Ravens need to do something now, I would say from the Ravens standpoint, there's not necessarily a sense of urgency here as you're looking at still 2 full years left before Mark Andrews could potentially hit the open market. His current deal is 4 years, $56 billion. And you compare that to other tight ends that have gotten paid recently. The comparison I point to is T.J. Hockenson of the Minnesota Vikings. He just got a 4-year, $68.5 million deal. So making a decent amount of money. You can see the tight end market has not kaboomed, if you will, 4th of July, right? Like the wide receiver position has with the way guys are getting paid in that sense. So the Ravens have time to figure this out. And here's why I think it's important that the Ravens take their time on this. You look at Mark Andrews, and this is somebody, we know the resume is good, right? He's played at an extremely high level, been one of the top 3 tight ends in football the last few years, right up there with Travis Kelce and George Kittle, a Pro Bowl appearance back in 2022, first-team All-Pro back in 2021. But last year, we started to see the injuries happen that weren't an issue prior. Career lows in games played and receiving yards last year. He was still very good when he was available. But I think the question that Ravens fans want to know, is it going to get worse from here, or was this just kind of a one-off thing where Andrews had the injury issues that he had last year? Because remember, too, I hate to bring this up, but it's reality here. He's also dealing with diabetes as well. And he took a lot of hits when he was at the University of Oklahoma, played at a high level. So there's a lot more mileage on Mark Andrews than some people may realize. And you think about the timing, too. Andrews, right now, is set to be up the same time as Isaiah Likely. Each tight end has 2 years left on their remaining contracts. Isaiah Likely looked very good stepping in for Mark Andrews last year. And if you're the Baltimore Ravens, the reality of it, the truth of the matter is that right now, I think Isaiah Likely is more of a priority than Mark Andrews is. And that's not a knock on Mark Andrews. We still would love to see him stick around and love for the Ravens to keep both tight ends. But if you have to prioritize one over the other, if you have to pick one, you have to go with Isaiah Likely just because he's younger and more long-term potential there. So for me, the urgency, I think you wait a bit, see how Andrews holds up, you take care of Likely first, and then you figure out what to do with Mark Andrews from there. If you only have to keep one of these tight ends for the next few seasons, if you can only extend one, which one would you keep? Go with Isaiah Likely, or would you go with Andrews? Type IL for Isaiah Likely. Type MA for Mark Andrews. Let us know in the comments section. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of Ravens Rundown. For continuing Ravens offseason coverage, subscribe to the channel for free, youtube.com/RavensTV. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time.